You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, let's talk about something that's getting a lot of traction across the fandom of the National Football League right now, and it is the annual Mike Sando quarterback ranking, all right? I mean, look, as much as I like Chris Sims, this is the one, all right? He comes out, the reason I feel like this one is the most important thing you can consume every year as an NFL fan. And if you want an idea of how the NFL views your quarterback, and this is why I like this is why I care about this. The decision makers, the leadership, the coaches, the offensive coordinators, the defensive personnel, these guys that are involved in making decisions and interpreting these things are the ones that vote on Mike Sandow's quarterback tier list every year. And as you can imagine, there's always quarterbacks that people are very interested in hearing about, whether, now it's a Brock Purdy. Everybody will wonder what they think about Brock, blah, blah, blah. But the one that everybody should really want to hear about is Caleb Williams. Now, we've heard things coming out of Bears camp that hasn't sounded great at times, that maybe Ben Johnson has been frustrated. Caleb plays today. He did not play last week. They went ahead and decided they're going to play him today. And so Ryan Russillo, and this is my favorite Russillo podcast he does every year, he had Mike Sando on to break down his quarterback tiers list. And the most surprising and interesting of conversations in this was Caleb Williams. And the things that he says in this piece that came from the people in the NFL about Caleb Williams, if I am a Bears fan, I hear this and go, mother bleep, we missed at quarterback again. You hear this, and it is hard to not hear we busted at quarterback again. And look, I sat back last week in that Ben Johnson offense, and I watched Tyson Bagent, a guy, by the way, that I believe might be able to be a starter, go on a 16-play drive. I don't think Caleb Williams can lead a 16-play drive. I'm not going to lie to you. I just don't think that's possible. So what I'm going to do is I've edited this down to the most important parts, and I am going to play it for you. It's just going to be the audio. Go subscribe to Ryan Russillo. I listen to him on podcast. He is on YouTube. His podcast goes on YouTube as well. He's part of The Ringer. He's my favorite podcast to listen to during the college and pro football season. All right, I listen to a hell of a lot of them. This is the best one, in my opinion. All right, and this is the one time I like to listen with my ears fully wide open. And boy, talking about Caleb Williams, it was scary listening to what the important people in the NFL think about Caleb.
Caleb Williams is the next quarterback at a still low in tier 3. The only guys lower than him in tier 3 are Bryce Young and a plummeting Kirk Cousins.
It's not consensus, but give me kind of like what people that you really trust out of these voters, the people that don't like him, the stuff that they were saying that maybe is alarming.
Many voters were alarmed, given pause by what they perceived to be real struggles processing the game fast enough.
Well, I stopped it. Many voters. That perked my attention. keep listening to the end, and it's going to be like, oh, crap. If you're a Bears fan, you're going to be on oh, crap mode by the time you get to the end of this thing.
And I think clearly some of that shows up in some of the sacks. That even if you're under great duress, as a quarterback, a lot of times you can at least avoid the sack. You can get rid of it. You know, the elite processing guys don't take a ton of sacks. And so that's concerning just because it may not change a lot, right? I mean, if you're not getting the ball to your hands now, you may get a little bit better, but are you going to be, a guy who really sees it quickly? I think that was the thing that came up over and over again. One of the quotes, he's definitely a one talent. I just think it's going to take him longer than Jayden Daniels. He's not playing fast right now. There's something there. His processing to me was almost alarming watching the tape.
Not great.
I was a little surprised by the level of criticism of Caleb Williams and how consistent it was. And maybe he's being held to a higher standard as the number one pick. But it just
by the way, is a Caleb guy, is that 5 people or like 20 people saying that?
It's probably closer to 20. It's a lot. Because
that's a lot. That's a big number.
I'm careful to.
That almost had Russillo, who is a Caleb guy, speechless. He's literally smiling and shaking his head going, that's a lot. Close to 20 people brought up the same concerns. I mean, if I'm a Bears fan, all 20 people were not wrong. All talking about the same thing. The inability to process at quarterback. That's not good.
Like if there's a pointed criticism, and it was only one guy, then, and even if it makes a good point, I'm going to bounce it out. I'm going to put in.
Yeah,
but
right.
It wasn't like there was 5 people who said, I think the processing looks really good. Nobody said that. And a lot of people brought up that as a concern. So I think it's a concern, and he can prove it otherwise. So those would probably be Caleb Williams.
All right, so that's where I'll stop it. I mean, that's the scariest sound you ever heard in your life. Again, go subscribe to Ryan Russillo. But if you hear that and you're a Bears fan, I mean, he said nobody. I mean, and the one thing I will tell you, I saw some Bears fans mad that Drake Maye was ranked ahead of Caleb Williams. Well, I can tell you right now, because I watched every snap both of them took, Drake Maye had lesser talent, much less talent, on the receiving offensive side than Drake Maye did. And Drake Maye's offensive line was much worse than the Bears. Number one, that's the other thing I've talked about before. The Bears' offensive line wasn't as bad as people kept saying. Caleb was holding on to the ball too damn long. And that offensive line, quite a bit better than Drake Maye's. All right? Just putting that out there. In my opinion, quite a bit better than Drake. And Drake Maye, I mean, decisive, making throws. Okay, yeah, he turned the ball over too much, in my opinion, but he just looked like a much more competent quarterback going through his reads, boom, being quick in decision-making, maybe too quick, and better knowing when to scramble out this, that, and the other. I hear this as a Bears fan, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. We got another bust. Mitch Trubisky and now this guy. We busted at quarterback again. And I've said before, I don't know what the Bears would have done because so many people at the time was like, oh, yeah, Caleb Williams got to be the guy. Everybody shit all over anybody that was critical of Caleb Williams. Merrill Hodge got destroyed. He brought up these exact concerns before the draft. These exact concerns. And here we are. I mean, when hearing that many people involved in the NFL across the league all believe the same thing about Caleb Williams and no longer is, and look, this is I only played 2 minutes of about 10 minutes of this. So go listen to all of it. But he's like, there was a time people thought that was a great job to have taken because of Caleb. Now it's like, I guess we might see what happens if you go to take that job. That's why I've said, look, I think Ben Johnson may end up having a real quick trigger on this. Because if he's really one of the best offensive minds in football, and we believe that he is, he's going to very quickly be able to tell whether or not Caleb Williams is really the dude. That's crazy. I heard this morning. I was like, wow, this is confirmation of everything that I thought about Caleb Williams coming out in the draft and what I've seen so far. Don't give me his 20 touchdowns and 6 picks. I get it. His statistics didn't look terrible, but you cannot hold on to the ball and not be able to process any better than he's doing and stay a starter in the National Football League. It's not going to happen. I guess we'll have to see how this goes. By the way, he also asked him, of all the rookie quarterbacks in 5 years, would Caleb Williams be in the top 2? And Sando was like, I think he's going to have a hard time being in the top 3 of all those guys that were taken. All right, so that means number 4 out of all them quarterbacks. And honestly, hadn't seen anything. I mean, look, Bo Nix, as of right now, obviously better. Jayden Daniels, obviously better. Drake Maye, in my opinion, if you watched a lot of Drake Maye, obviously better, like I did. Michael Penix flashed better. The one I'm out on right now that I don't know is J.J. McCarthy. And if J.J. goes out there and burns it up like some of these other guys, Caleb could end up being the bust out of all those dudes. Poor Bears fans. I mean, I swear. Sorry. I mean, I don't know. That sucks, I mean, that sucks. I think the league's better with the Bears are competitive. They're one of these historic franchises. It's crazy. I can tell you this, and I've brought this up before. Shedeur Sanders' process is much better and is much more accurate than Caleb Williams is. He was taken in the 5th round. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.